As the reality of the ultimate sacrifice hits so close to home.
At our house, he is the villain.
Sometimes you just gotta use the right thing.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to That Voiceover Podcast, the show for and about the voiceover profession. I'm Stephen Cox. Now, if I say the name Mindy Cohn, you'll likely think of Natalie, the role she played on the show Facts of Life. But Mindy has also enjoyed a vibrant career in voiceover. For the last 10 years, you can hear Mindy as the voice of Vilma on Scooby Doo. She's also appeared on Kim Possible, Family Guy, and a number of other series, and it's very, very nice of her to join us on the show today. Hello, Mindy.
Hello, only because I adore you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Now, at what point did you get into voiceover? Was it something that you ever saw yourself doing when you were a young actress?
No, not at all, and I actually didn't really even know about the profession. I mean, the most I really knew about it were people who, stood in dark rooms and sang jingles and or were the voices on the radio during commercials. I really didn't even connect the whole animation thing as part of the acting profession. And basically what happened is my agent actually said, it might be something you might want to look into, and I started taking classes, and one of my teachers was the very brilliant Charlie Adler, and one of his good friends at the time was an agent at William Morris who came out, and she said, I would love to represent you if you would like an agent. And she's no longer with the company, but her assistant, Tim Curtis, who's now vice president,
Sure. Yeah.
has been my agent for the last 12 years. And actually, we booked Scooby 10 years ago. So it has been a full decade of doing Scooby, and a couple commercials here and there, but you're absolutely correct. Mostly it's been animation that's been my bread and butter.
Now, there are a number of differences going from on camera to voiceover, as I'm sure you discovered. And you said you've taken classes. Was there a learning curve for you learning to get behind the microphone?
Definitely. I think the voiceover profession is one of those things where everyone thinks they can do it, and including myself, if you have some kind of quirky voice or a quote-unquote good voice. But really it's about taking all of your acting acumen and putting it only into using one of your tools, which is your voice. They can't see your face, they can't see your eyes, they can't see your body language, and so you really have to communicate everything, not just sound, but mood and intention and all that stuff. The greatest thing about it that is incredibly similar to acting on camera is the sense of play and the sense of working with people. You have to work well with others, and you have to take really good direction, and you have to just learn how to play and lose your inhibitions. In voiceover, you have to lose more of your inhibitions because you really have to just let everything else go and channel it into your voice. So yeah, there is a bit of a learning curve, and I have to tell you, working with some of the greats that I've been privileged enough to do, you keep learning, hopefully, just like on camera.
Yeah, you've gotten the chance to work with Frank Welker, who plays Fred, and Casey Kasem, who does Shaggy, among others. What's that been like?
It's been tremendous. To sit between the seat, I used to sit between Frank and Gray Delisle, who plays Daphne, who's also just on every animated series you can think of. And then just to be a witness to Casey was kind of tremendous. I mean, again, I feel like it was very similar to my Facts of Life experience, where I was thrown into this, industry with some of the best. So, I think that's one of the reasons that my bar is set so high as far as just like work ethic and just kind of really giving respect to people who've not only been around a long time, but who know what they're doing. And I think in the voiceover world, because most people don't see their faces, I think there's a misnomer that people haven't really earned their stripes. And, as you and I both know, that's quite not true.
Well, let me ask you about that, because I have a sense that when you do on-camera things now, and you've done some stage work, obviously, and you've done a number of films, there's probably a little bit of expectation that people come into it with when they see you. They're like, well, is she going to sort of bring the Natalie character to this or that? But when your face isn't seen and you're behind a microphone, I would imagine that's a little more liberating for you.
Well, let me put it this way. I don't feel like I have to prove myself. I don't really have to. The stakes aren't as high versus some of the on-camera stuff I've done recently has really been a concerted effort to try and, break away a little bit so people know that I actually can do something other than Natalie, and can maybe see me as an actor rather than just kind of this like TV personality. But in the voiceover land, exactly. I mean, I'm another working stiff.
You have excellent comic timing, as you have demonstrated over the years, but a lot of times when you're recording voiceover for animation, you have to stop in between lines so as to leave room for the editor to come in and maybe do the overlapping. Has that been kind of difficult for you to adjust to?
Well, I think, you being the musician that you are, I think, can appreciate what I'm going to say. It's just almost like the song is slowed down. I mean, comedy to me is very much like music, and there's a rhythm, and there's, something innately in those of us who have a musical ear or kind of like listen to the world that way. And really, it's just a matter of either slowing it down or speeding it up. So gratefully, that's not the challenge I have. I think my challenge in the voiceover community is one more time to lose more and more inhibitions. When I get the opportunity to break out and do some different voices, there's such talent out there. And I'm always quite intimidated, I have to say, to try out a new voice or to try out something versus on camera. I'm never afraid to just balls out try something totally different.
Are you working on new animation projects right now? Is there anything in the pipeline for you?
I'm gratefully still, Scooby is Velma is who she is, which is great. But the wonderful thing about the Scooby franchise is we get to do everything from the series, there's a new series that's going to be airing on Cartoon Network this summer. There are straight-to-DVD films. There are games. That we actually recorded a Six Flags ride, Scooby ride. So the variety and games, internet games and DVD, there's always a variety of stuff, in that aspect. And, the variety that I get as far as just jobs are usually just guest spots on other animated series. I haven't booked a commercial voiceover. It's probably been years. I mean, since Nokia mobile phones. That, again, even within the voiceover world, it's almost like film and television. The two worlds are seen as very, very different. And people who are quite successful in animation sometimes have trouble booking, the radio spots and the ads, and vice versa. And I think, that's always the challenge.
So that is something that you see yourself possibly at least working in, if not transitioning over into. You would like to explore the commercial side, maybe the promo side. Are those of interest to you?
Very much so. I mean, I actually think as an actor, those are really where the characters are. Some of the stuff that you've done, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's such great characters, and there's usually such great ads. It's something, yes, I would like to have more of an opportunity to get into, but like the animation, it takes a while. People really are loyal to the actors that they use, and rightly so. They know what they're going to get. And, the stakes are high. There's a lot of money in the ad market. So, it's hard to break into that, no matter who you are.
Well, you've really got something wonderful, obviously, with Scooby Doo and Velma, and I want to ask you a couple more things about that. You probably grew up watching Scooby Doo as pretty much everybody, yeah. I think, over the last 40 years has done so. Did you have to go back through and watch a lot of reruns when you got the role to kind of get the inflection right and get the character right? Because your voices are very, very similar.
Yes, I actually had to do that, pre-booking the job. I mean, I really had to sort of work and kind of match much before, so that by the time I actually, booked it, I really kind of had her in my sight. So it wasn't so much revisiting her as just sort of really trying to honor, who she had been, and then just kind of bring in a little bit of me into it as well. But that would happened, before, during the audition process and the callback process and all that.
Well, this has been wonderful talking with you about it. I am looking forward to seeing more Scooby-Doo projects and seeing where your voiceover career will take you next. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That Voiceover Podcast is a co-production of Half Full and Get Creative Inc. Thanks for listening. I'm Stephen Cox.